What a beautiful crowd. Wow. So we've announced some really great partnerships already today, Dropbox, Atlassian, and several others. And so I'm really excited to bring out the Chief Product Officer for AT&T, Roman Pacewicz. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate the invite. Wow. I mean, this is an amazing conference. Just a lot of fun, technology. What could be better?
Absolutely.
So I have to ask you a question. You know, I see the whale up above.
Uh-huh.
But did you think about maybe hanging a platypus over the stage? Possibly, you know, maybe. You know, when I think about the platypus, you know, it's a freshwater mammal, not a saltwater mammal, but it's got a lot of positive characteristics.
It does. It's a beautiful animal.
Beautiful
yes.
animal, right? Survived a long time, like millions of years, and adapted. You know, just saying.
Yes, that's
Maybe
great.
next time.
Great idea.
Great
We'll think
idea.
about it next time. Absolutely.
So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a father of 3 daughters, 6-month-old black lab. Grew up in New Jersey, currently live in Dallas. By the way, my favorite hobby is cooking. And lately what I've been into is actually flavoring foods with wild mushrooms, foraging for them. I gotta admit, usually it's in a supermarket, but still, you know, foraging for them. And then I either cook with them or pickle them, right?
Oh, okay. That's brilliant.
So yeah, so Chief Product Officer for AT&T Business. AT&T serves 3 million business customers around the world in over 200 countries. You know, this is an exciting time to be in this industry. Technology is changing really, really quickly. And what the objective is for my team is to identify new technologies and stay in sync with the technology. It's kind of like being a trapeze artist, you know, keeping in sync with the technology swings, and ensuring that we deliver the right product at the right time.
Great. So I'm sure then you're talking about digital transformation, of course, in those conversations. So what is your view on digital transformation?
You know, the way I think about digital transformations is that it's not just about digital engagement, you know, selling or interacting with customers, and not about just creating digital processes, which I define as, you know, connecting things, automating, integrating, et cetera. It's really about looking at your entire business and thinking about how to change the entire business. So it's about changing the way you sell, the way you service, and from my perspective, it's really rethinking about what your market is. You know, when you think about AT&T, we're also undergoing a major digital transformation. Our industry is changing dramatically, and we are rethinking who we are. We're looking at adjacencies. When people buy phones, as an example, smartphones, they're not just buying them for the utility of voice and collaboration, which is great, but a lot of it is around entertainment. And that's the reason we recently acquired the entertainment part of the business. So I think rethinking the markets that you serve, the breadth of what you offer is something that you should think about when you're doing digital transformation. A lot of customers that we serve across all industries, you know, for some, it's as simple as maybe integrating the brick and mortar experience with the e-commerce experience. Or it might be connecting anything and everything and letting those things talk to one another. As an example, it might be a sensor in a factory that is talking to a robotic arm. Or it might be, you know, a healthcare device interacting with a nurse, et cetera. So it's, you know, digital transformations are very unique. From my perspective, they have to be looked at broadly. They always have common characteristics of leveraging technology, innovating, and kind of disrupting status quo.
Okay. So Internet of Things is a common thing that
yep.
we talk about. So when you think about all these key technologies that are part of this transformation, you know, us in IT, we've seen this throughout the ages, you know, in the 70s with introduction of the PC. You could say VMware with virtualization. I'm thinking Wonder Woman and her invisible jet. That's
There you go.
transformative, right? So what do you think are some of the other key trends that we're going to see?
Well, there's really three that I'll highlight, but you could, highlight many more. I think the one trend that I'm probably the most excited about is about 5G and what 5G will do to businesses of every sort. And the reason is because 5G is not just an upgrade. It's not like 3G going to 4G where it's all about speed. Yeah, there's speed benefits. The speeds will increase between 10 and 100x depending on what the spectrum is that you use. But you're really fundamentally re-architecting the network, and all sorts of new use cases will be able to be enabled. So latency, as an example, is a really important one. We are seeing really a huge need for low latency applications as you interconnect everything. Again, think of a sensor in a street trying to interact with a light, a street light. You need to process that information locally so you could be in sync very quickly. And so 5G is all about latency. Latencies could be as low as 20 milliseconds. The reason why that's relevant, it's kind of actually fascinating. The human brain takes about 20 milliseconds to process something and react to it. So by the time you see something, you process and you react about 20 milliseconds. And what we find is that's the real threshold. We need the networks to be kind of reflexive, like the human brain. So as an example, if you have augmented reality glasses on, if you don't have 20 milliseconds or lower latency, you start to get dizzy, and actually you could get nauseous. So anyway, 5G networks will enable all sorts of new use cases because it's just not only speed, it's latency, density. The density of what you could connect is going to increase dramatically. With an LTE network, it's about 1,000 devices could be connected. With 5G, it's about over 1 million. So huge increase in the number of things you could interconnect, private networks, etc. So 5G is a big one. Second one is edge computing. Really seeing already a shift around how the compute environments are being utilized. Again, all these things that are being connected are changing the architectures around cloud, or at least beginning. It doesn't mean that the centralized cloud is going to disappear, of course, but it's going to be augmented by the edge. And again, the reason is because what we're connecting to networks. We're connecting things that are basically generating more data than consuming. With 4G networks, there was more data that was consumed, and therefore, the source of that data could be, 1,000 miles away, and the latency didn't matter. So edge computing basically pushes the processing closer in, and it's going to be really critical when you have drones flying and you're trying to ensure they don't hit each other, or two autonomous cars, or the streetlight example that I gave. So again, we're seeing already customers look at various edge computing scenarios for their business. And the final one I would say is software-defined networking. When networks become more intelligent, they could support all of these types of use cases. So you could make a priority call, and you could say a low latency type of a transaction could be handled one way by the network versus, say, a Facebook type of traffic. Or you might be able to look at a flow and say, this flow needs to be treated from a security perspective. So it moves networking in sync with what's going on from a broader perspective, and you're not just moving packets, but you're really routing streams. So you're looking at the application, and you're routing streams of data. Again, there's many more, but those three, I think, are going to be very prevalent in digital transformations going forward.
Yeah, that sounds super exciting. Are some of you in the audience already adopting some of these examples? No. Wow. What a huge opportunity right there. Okay.
Where do you go?
So how are some examples of how other companies are leading the charge?
A lot of examples. One that I'll talk about, we announced a relationship with Samsung in the connected factory. It's a really fascinating example of how technology could transform a business. Samsung has got one of the world's largest manufacturing sites in Austin, Texas. Think about 4 million square feet of space. It's already pretty automated as it stands. But what we're doing with Samsung is we're basically creating a innovation zone, an environment where we're going to be testing new ways of using 5G technology to even further automate that kind of environment. So think about using 4K video to identify defects on the line, or identifying temperature variations or vibration that could basically damage the manufacturing process and the outputs of the chips that are used in all of our electronics. So, Samsung, already a very progressive user of technology, continuing to be on the forefront, using edge compute, using 5G technologies as a result of this announcement that we have made. Another example is in agriculture. I think agriculture it's fascinating. I mean, that is such a high-tech business these days. We're seeing basically everything being connected. Obviously, farm equipment is one, livestock is being connected. Sensors are being put into the soil to monitor, when the crop needs to be watered, when new nutrients have to be added. So all of the farming is becoming really, really high tech, and we're only kind of scratching the surface there. And the final example I use is a partner of ours, Caterpillar. We also made a public announcement about an extension of our relationship with them. Every Caterpillar product that goes out with a chip that allows it to be connected anywhere in the world in 155 countries. And it's not just about knowing where the machines are, but for Caterpillar, it's about layering on additional services. So think about an operator who's got a work job of basically digging a 20-foot ditch. What's important when that work occurs is to ensure that the digging of the ditch is in sync with the trucking that comes in and the efficiency of that. And with a connected machine, you could basically stay in sync. The work for the day could be downloaded to the operator, and that work could be in sync. A lot of examples, but just three that come top of mind.
I mean, from everything you're saying, there's this huge opportunity for everyone to make their networks more intelligent, devices more intelligent. There's so much opportunity in technology, but I think it could also be kind of overwhelming for customers, right? So how do you align your corporate initiatives with what you're trying to do from a technology point of view? So what are some of those pitfalls companies should avoid when they're trying to construct this strategy?
I think what I've seen, and I've seen kind of customers get into a pickle, I'll say, is underestimating the transformation itself. I would say that's the first thing. You got to realize when you're applying technology in a new way, there will be some challenges. There will be some bumps in the road. You kind of have to factor that in. Things won't always work out the way you expected, and you might need to adapt. So I would say that's one of the pitfalls. The second I would say is having the right resources. All of these customers and companies are trying to run their business and transform their business at the same time. And the challenge is having the right type of resources for both the new business model and the old business model. So it's, how do you get the people with the right technology, the right skill sets, the right number of resources? They're hard to find on the market. I mean, the market is pretty full employment already, especially for those skill sets. They cost a lot, are hard to get. So you really have to plan ahead, and you have to plan ahead in kind of investing even more in your workforce and educating them and bringing them up to the technologies that you're going to be applying so they could help. And then potentially using a partner, a partner that you could trust, whoever that may be.
Right. So tell me a little bit about, so AT&T, I think people have this impression of it just a phone company, right? It sounds like AT&T has been really transforming itself. Tell us a little bit more about that transformation for AT&T.
Well, first of all, like I said, from a business model perspective, we view ourselves in telecommunications, technology, and media with the acquisition of Warner. Media, Time Warner, we have all those pieces in play. And it's all about kind of changing experiences. But it all started about, what I would say, about 4 years ago when we started to transform the very core of our network. moving it from a kind of an appliance-based model to a virtualized cloud-based model. We're now 4 years into it. The reason why that is relevant for customers, because it makes our services very dynamic and customer controlled. It also drives a lot of efficiency. It's same kind of issue that a lot of customers face when they have a lot of technology or equipment on their premise. You know, it's hard to manage. Different life cycles of technology have to be factored in. When do you replace it? How do you integrate it? So anyway, so we've been transforming the core network, which is really the foundation that is enabling us to go to 5G, but also from an experience perspective. You know, we have over 5,000 retail stores ourselves, and we're trying to change the experience. We're trying to make it a lot more casual. We're trying to make the technology work for us, and we're using things like video for identification of demographics, so we could customize experiences. We're you know, enabling customers to start the buying process online, but pick up the devices either in the store or actually at home. We're making a lot of different investments to make the experience casual. About a few weeks ago, we made an announcement of a new store concept that we rolled out in Seattle, actually, where it's kind of a neighborhood third place, as you would call it. It's a combination of a store and a coffee shop, and it allows people to gather, talk about you know, their day, and potentially you know, buy some technology. You know, so you know, making things more casual instead of formal is something that we're trying to do, and we're trying to change experiences all along the way, whether it's our business customers' experience, consumer experience with the integration of media, or even the buying experience in our stores.
So it sounds like digital transformation is like that superfood, right? Not zucchini-like. I'm talking like a superfood, right? Okay, that was a good one. Okay. So how does AT&T see its role in driving this digital transformation?
So you know, we think of ourselves as kind of enabling a lot of these digital transformations. We kind of describe it as edge to edge. And for us, what edge to edge means is from device to device, device to cloud, and everything in between, enabling our customers to kind of apply that technology in their specific vertical. So we've been transforming all of our sales resources to be much more knowledgeable about vertical solutions and being that bridge between technology and the actual business outcome. A lot of examples I could cite of customers really transforming themselves as an example. One of the things that we've seen a lot is in the retail industry, probably tremendous amount of innovation in the retail industry, again, changing the experience, whether it's, you know, providing both Wi-Fi experience for the guest and for business, connecting everything in a store or a restaurant, you know, putting up a lot of digital displays, using artificial intelligence for facial recognition, demographics, et cetera. So we want to be on the forefront, helping customers take technology and apply it to their business.
Okay, great. So I mean, a lot of things that you talked about are well aligned with Zoom, right? So we built a product that was architecturally better for video. All of you experienced that, and the performance, simplicity, and so forth. So how did you see Zoom fitting into the vision that you just described?
Well, you know, first of all, you know, collaboration is critical, I think, to the success of a lot of businesses. A lot of our customers have distributed workforces and around the globe, and most of our customers, I think, would say that it's not about where your employees is work, but it's really how they work, right? So, and I think that's where Zoom comes into play. It really helps create a kind of a more cohesive culture in a workforce. So even if you're a distributed company all around the globe, talking to people face to face, even via video collaboration, sharing documents, brings employees together. It creates a closer you know, community for our customers. And I think that's what Zoom brings technology that can be leveraged to enable a more efficient workforce, a workforce that is more connected, regardless of where they are. You know, it could be where, obviously, all of us are working from here, from home, from everywhere, and we need technology that Zoom provides to enable that to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think, what kind of leader is needed to kind of karate chop their organization into this transformation?
You know, what I would say, what I've noticed over the last few years is kind of the role of the CIO and CTO is it's changing. I would almost describe it as kind of blurring with the role of the chief operating officer or business unit head. I'm seeing a lot of COOs, business unit heads that are really technologists at heart. Actually, that's the case with AT&T. The CEO for business, as an example, is our past CIO. You know, he's running a company that last year in 2017 generated $39 billion, and he's able to, as an example, understand technology, lever technology, and we're seeing that trend in general across all of our customers. Is how do you take technology and apply it to the business context? Finding that, you know, the intersection between technology and your specific business is really critical, because if you find that, if you're knowledgeable about your business and technology, you could figure out how to use technology to your advantage, how to, you know, serve your customers better, go after more revenue, an adjacent market, and probably get there first. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing kind of this blurring and kind of the pervasive infusion of technology and technology knowledge across the board, across all the leaders we deal with.
Okay. What advice do you have for people in the audience that are trying to prepare their organization for this change?
Again, what I would say from our perspective, the hardest part is getting the people prepared. For AT&T, we have 273,000 employees around the world. And when we undertook the digital transformation, we knew that ensuring that we motivate all of our people to be on top of the latest technology and transform their skill sets, because their skill sets might have been on a legacy technology side, was really, really critical. And so, you know, ensuring that you create programs that motivate your broad employee base to educate themselves on the latest technology, be ready for this transformation. As an example, in AT&T, we made really significant investments. Last year, 20 million hours of coursework being basically finished by our employees, $220 million of investment in training, and about $30 million of investment made in tuition assistance. So it's actually the soft things that are probably the challenging, the resources, the people, making sure that you have the right skilled resources ready to go, and if not on your own team, bringing a trusted advisor to help you with that.
That's great. And this is your first Zoomtopia.
It is.
So what has stood out for you from this experience?
I mean, again, I kind of love the theme. You know, this is kind of a little bit like Cirque du Soleil with, you know, all the surrounds. Love the underwater theme. I think this is a very fun conference, just walking around. A lot of people are enjoying themselves. The way it's laid out, there's a lot of places to work. At least me personally, I go to a lot of conferences. I have a hard time finding a place to work. There's plenty of places to work. Coffee's great, you know, you want to make sure everybody's up. But I think the technology is fascinating. I mean, I'm a technologist at heart. I love some of the technology, the facial recognition technology, technology that kind of self-optimizes all the visuals and cameras. Probably my favorite thing is, and I haven't used this yet, is the background. I'd love to have, you know, my own background behind on calls.
We can do that, yeah.
But overall, just a great conference, very well done. And, you know, congratulate to the Zoom team and
Thank you.
Well done.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Awesome.
We're really excited about AT&T in general. I think what we can do to help us scale in the future and deliver more solutions to our customers here in the audience.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.